You're not just breathing, you are breath. Breathing in the way we were all taught involves the mechanical process of breath, but it is not valid in defining who you are in relationship to breath. Commonly, people are not aware that every single cell in your body breathes. It's called cellular respiration. Cellular breathing or respiration, the same as respiration in the way we all know about it, the way we breathe, essentially with our lungs. It's all part of a metabolism process of yours. It's the way energy exchanges between carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange on a constant. Whether you hold your breath, whether you're exhaling, there's still 1 to 2 liters of air in your lungs. So it's quite impossible for you to even exhale the intake of what you received in your lungs as far as inspiration, and your expiration or expiring or cellular respiration is you're always left with a certain percentage of air in your lungs. And in the Qigong world, that's a very important percentage. That 5 to 10% of air is actually taught in advanced breathing techniques. I believe in both Buddhism and Taoism, but in the Qigong that I was taught within my Xingyi Chuan and Bagua lineage, that is the way that we actually pack the energy of the Qi and into your lower elixir called your lower dantian. And it's the way that you actually take essential Qi and you cultivate and you begin to culminate that. And you build up in a very physical matter or form. It becomes usable energy to expand and activate, potentiate, not just your 12 meridians, but your 8 extraordinary channels in your body the same. If you take the meridian passageways and understanding, there are overlays of similarities between the chakra system and the way they perceive their meridians to be. Whichever school of thought that you take, the constant is the same. It's how you cultivate the positive sense of your essential life force. How do you discard or excrete or discern, how you would say, whatever is no longer usable to your body, whether it's physical, emotional, mental state, it's all the same. Towards the end of this video, I want to show you a very powerful Qigong exercise. Very simple to learn, but very advanced. So that you can see how you are breath and how breath is not limited to your lungs and your nose. Also, in advanced forms of meditation, you do train in breathing where they call it whole body breathing. And then there are specialties where you can actually perform kidney breathing. Kidney breathing is because in Chinese medicine, kidneys and your adrenal glands are considered the car batteries to your entire system. And kidney breathing is a way of using visualization and activating and opening up your body's passageway. So once you make conscious to yourself through quantum theory and quantum understanding, once you make consciousness that your breath is not limited to your lungs as you inhale and exhale, then you open up a new reality. That is Kung Fu. That is Qigong. Is the exercise and the set of exercises that build you up as training wheels to build you up to that reality so that you can master your mind, body, emotional state, where you no longer see separate between what I just mentioned and breath. As I said before, you are breath. You're not just simply breathing. It's a mechanical way of explaining, I would say, as far as the science or the biology behind breathing, but you are breath. The Qi or the energy behind the chemistry of hydrogen and oxygen and everything that consists of air, oxygenated air per se. But it's no longer esoteric and it's no longer a mystery. It's no longer an inner school, because this is actually an inner school of self-attainment, meaning your school of self. Because it becomes actualized. It's like learning how to ride a bike, and now you ride the bike. It's not a mystery anymore. You just ride. You're no longer thinking of breath and breathing and the mechanics behind it, which is the intellectual way of explaining how you are breath. But it's important to kind of like unravel the right way, especially if you've never been introduced to proper Qigong and proper Kung Fu, because proper Kung Fu actually doesn't separate the Qigong aspects, the Neigong or the Weigong aspects of that particular system or branch. Neigong means more of an internal branch, meaning you start from the inside out which is the perspective that I'm going to show you, or I'm going to attempt to demonstrate. Holding stances. It could be Neigong, it could be Weigong. Weigong is more of like the physical, from the outside in. You know, when you're trying to build up Qi and cultivate, think of an athlete, you know, professional athlete, a football player, when they're building up their muscles and they're trying to become internally strong and externally powerful. That's Weigong, you know, lifting weights and actually putting the concentration and the intent so that you build up strong sinews, which is, the sinews are your tendon, the ligaments, and what attaches bone to muscle. So that's called your sinews. And the sinews are just as vital, as important to a professional athlete or to us, right? As the muscles in the bone. Unfortunately, people only focus on building muscle when they're working out. And it's fine and dandy. And if you're okay with that and you're okay with that pocket as a human being, that's fine. But the intention of this video is to help you attempt to become superhuman, meta-human. To begin to open up a new aspect of yourself. And quite often, people only need the instructions. They didn't even know to look at in that way or route, because most of our lives, especially if you were born in like the United States, as an example, but most of the world, you're taught and indoctrinated in a very sick masculine way, meaning that everything's logical, intellectual, and intellectually intellectual. I'm gonna blame it on my Spanglish, even though English is my primary language. And the challenge is to open up the right side of the brain, which is the maternal side, or the matriarchy. And that's where the infinity is, and the micro torus is in your upper registry, where people mention the third eye. When you open up that micro torus field, like a torus, right? That vortex that I mentioned in past videos. And to open that up, it's important that you also open up the lower dantian the same, so that you can open up the connection between the three jiaos, or the three burners, the three, what makes the, kind of like the third eye, as I said in the past video, it's like 3 turns into 1, right? 13, 31, or the 1 experiencing Trinity, which is 13. And a lot of people in numeracy, when they study numbers in the most basic sense, they know that 13, or they see that 13 is bad luck. There's a reason for that. It's because it's an actual key. It's contraindicated until you're ready to understand who you are. So a lot of the things that are contraindicated or taboo, that's where you, most of the time, if you're led to go into those taboo aspects in life, there's actual key hidden truth that's valid and necessary to attain. And 13 is a very big number. Look at my past videos. Going back to Qigong. So once you start working with breath in the same way that you're working with stretching or weights, then you no longer see a separation between you and breath. And that's where you no longer, that's when you start breaking up the concept of you are breathing. And it takes it so much deeper than what I'm about to teach you. And that deeper, always with practice, commitment, belief of self, right? Faith of self, right? Curiosity and enjoyment, you know, something that you feel like led to, especially if you're led to this video. Those are the key aspects, of course. Otherwise, it's not going to work for anybody. It's like me trying to learn how to ride a bike, and if I'm not really into it, I'm going to get hurt, and then I'm going to kind of like get scared because a 5-year-old kid got hurt, and I'm afraid to get back on the bike. I guess a better scenario would be swimming. I'm still learning how to swim. Right? If you're afraid to swim, and if you don't become one with the water, once you're swimming, you're not thinking that you're swimming. You're just one with the water. Your tongue is very important in any meditation. It connects the Ren and the Du, which are 2 of the 8 extraordinary channels, which is part of your meridian system. The Ren and the Du is, many schools will call it your lifeline. So the Ren and the Du connects the front aspect of your center line, vertical, to your spine and around. And that's the Du, I'm sorry. So the governance vessel, which is the Du vessel, which is like if you don't have a strong spine, you don't have strong Du, Du. And same thing with your Ren, right? So the Ren and the front aspect of your body is actually Yin, as in the feminine, right? The maternal side. The protective aspect, the back, right? The spine, and the external components of the exterior would be the Yang, which be the protector, right? Would be masculine. So a balance between masculine and feminine, between front and back is vital to a Kung Fu practitioner, to an acupuncturist too, to anybody, right? Should be vital. So the tongue within the cultivation creates an internal pump, one of several. When I say pump, think of, I guess most people are now becoming more familiar with understanding their Kundalini rising, which most of the time that people are experiencing it is not a Kundalini rising, but that's not the intention of this video. But they understand it to be a pump from the base of the spine, which includes the coccyx, the tailbone, and the sacrum. And when that connects with the perineal muscles, right? A lot of people don't explain the base of the spine, but all of that opens up a vortex, right? And that's what connects the root of your chakra, the root chakra, to the earth star, right? The star. So that's your communication. Just like your head, that's why they say you crown your head, is the communication between your the chakra up here, the seventh chakra, and the sun, or the ethers, the sky. So we're like the Duracell or ever-ready batteries connecting the ethers and the earth already. We wouldn't be able to exist in this particular vessel if we weren't connected in this way, especially with the way our central nervous system and systems that actually create our embodiment is the way we're built. And it's actually towards the natural sense of being able to survive and thrive within this third dimensional, aka density form matter. That's how dense it is down here. So that's the third sense of density. That's like kind of like 3D printing, right? It becomes that form of density, and it's measured in dimensions. So the tongue, like saying the letter L, the tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. Now, there's different schools, and there's advanced teachings with the tongue, and you can't do this wrong. But the tongue creates and connects the connectivity between the do and the ren, creating one circuit. And also, for me, it's also the way I explain it, it's a way of plugging into the earth, into the biosphere, and with the electromagnetic field of the earth, the same. Yes, you're already connected, but you're making it conscious, and you're using your internal technology, your inner technology, to understand how it works, right? You want to pick up a cup, you have to understand your technology as a baby to learn how to grab and pick up a cup. Well, that's just very physical, right? That's like a very physical way of understanding. It goes so much deeper even in the metaphysical realms as far as understanding the vasculature of your inner aspects of self. All the way down to the fascia and even the bone marrow. Manipulating fascia and to the level of bone marrow consciously to a practitioner. It's not esoteric. It's the same as learning how to pick up a cup so you can drink a glass of water. It's very natural. And why most people won't do it is because we've been conditioned not to even think that. Or think that way. Or to see our bodies that way. We've been conditioned to just stay with the books. Or just stay with the teacher, and you're never going to be as good as the teacher. They've created there's so many advanced masters here and from all kinds of scripture. And if you notice, you'll never be able to attain that ascended master. You're always going to be a student. You're always going to be a child of the Lord. And that is the system that was meant to keep you so that you ascended and graduated to a point of, well, what's a child? To what age? I don't know. You want to say 15? No, that's a little old already, Younger than that. So to ascend is important also to break a lot of the preconditioning that was taught to you when it becomes conscious to you in the moment. Because when it becomes conscious to you, such as in this video, it means that it's time. It's time to make something that maybe you already knew and understood, but now you have to give it a command. You have to give it an authority to say, yep, this makes sense. I'm not the only one that says this or hears this. Marcus on the other side confirmed it, and it's like now you're solidifying that command, as in commanding when you're a computer programmer and you're programming your mind and your body. Because when you believe in something, belief is so powerful, it creates your entire reality. So anything that you believe in, it becomes. So they have to keep you in the realm of belief, which is the most powerful thing. So there was a positive side to cartoons and animation when we were kids, and then there was the dark side. The positive side was that if you had the right parents, right, then they could have used that as a way to help you to expand the creativity by taking it outside after you finish watching that TV show and creating something outside. As an example, if you grew up with TV. And the dark side is that it to keep you separated with the creative side, to say this is just for kids, right? Now I'm an adult, let the kids do that. But then you have to cross over. It's like a false sense of rites of passage that was taught to us, almost all of us. And there's a very constructive side to rites of passage, because part of being a human and living into adulting was to always know and remember how to die. rites of passage in many cultures and tribes, right? They created an intelligent, based on the wisdom of their ancestors, right? An intelligent system that built the young child up to prepare for something that most likely they would probably fail, right? But as long as they cross to the finish line, you know, then it's like that failure is almost like, wow, I actually could have died climbing this really high tree, probably broke a bone doing so, and a lot of crazy things with certain rites of passages as far as culture is concerned. However, they are necessary. They are necessary because it's part of our graduation from instinct to intuition, and that cross bridge that's seated within such a rite of passage to a young child that's taken away from us. That bridge is almost like the cord is cut, so it's a disconnect. So it's almost like you're here and then you're there, and you're never aware of how you went from here to there. The best bet is to put your kids in sports, and that doesn't always guarantee. Depends if you have a great coach, great system, but most importantly, the parents, or even more important than that, the child themselves. Hopefully, they're the ones that grew up old enough to know, you know, to some point, and to become like almost like the rebel, or they call it the black sheep, right, of the family, and to protect a knowing that has never been taught to them. And they would protect it fiercely by being in denial to a system that's being parented to them. Religion. And having to study, and that kid might be awful at school, and it's because they're probably brilliant, and they have a connection with the earth that is not the same frequency as with an institution that has no crystals, has no gridding, has no, the windows probably aren't even like open, right? You have to obey the teacher, and it's an enslaving authoritarian or authoritative mentality, which is not the power of a young leader that was probably born to be a young leader, such as this example, right? Now this all comes back, right, to Qigong, because a lot of people who do Qigong never pass the first phase of what I'm about to show you. It's because of all this conditioning. So by us speaking about that, that is Qigong, that is cultivation, that is reprogramming the mind, because it's important to program your mind with all of these belief systems so that you can start using your faith, taking back your faith, and rearranging your reality. And now you become a shapeshifter, a quantum realm shifter between time. You start to understand that time, backwards, as I said in the past video, is emit, E-M-I-T. You begin to emit time, and time bends because your belief becomes your knowing. That's how powerful belief is. So, with your teeth closed, so I want to show you. So with your teeth closed, not tight, just relaxed. Like saying the letter L, make sure your tongue is touching. You should feel relaxed. It's just like a slight curve up like this. You're breathing through your nose. Now, creativity, visualization is key. The palm of your hand, right? The center of your hand, left or right, right? You hold your hand like this and you practice. Imagine that you have a nose there, or there's a hole there. And you're breathing in with your nose here. You're imagining it going into your bones, into your structure, and the way that you can create it and imagine it, into your lungs, but into your lower dantian. Lower dantian is about this is like a finger inch. They call it a finger inch. So whatever your fingers are, 1.5 to 2 finger inches, I think it's 1.5, below the belly button. So if your belly button's here, 1.5 to 2 finger inches below that. So I'm going to stand up so you can see it. So here's my belly, right? And then here's like 1, and maybe somewhere around here, right? The point will show you as you keep practicing, so it's a little different for everyone. It's better to actually discover it, but it's around that area. So when you're breathing in from here, you're breathing the oxygen into that point. And you're just naturally extending your palms like this, right? This is called the tiger's mouth. So you're activating the hugo, which is Argentessin 4. You're activating the 5 fingers, so it's not just like flailing like that. It's almost like, and then it's not just Tai Chi hands, but it's alive. This is alive. like you're about to hit a drum. Have you ever hit one of those bongos or tongas? It's right before you hit. I mean, there's a technique where you're just going to relax it, but you feel like you're about to, there, just like that. And so when you inhale there, and you exhale there. So if you inhale 3 or 4 seconds, you exhale the same. Maybe pause for a second or two, right? Without trying to move it, with practice, sometimes immediately, the fascia on a microscopic level will start to actually become symphony with the inhale and exhaling. It starts to enliven. You start activating this one of the 4 cavities, they call it. And what happens is that a lot of people try to make it happen, so they kind of like flex it out with the exhale. They can't help it because they want it to happen. And no, that's something that you work with by practicing. You just assume that you're breathing and it's happening, and allow it to happen by itself. And the best test is have somebody in your family, at home, at work, at school, like you're weird. Have them put their fingers there without pressing hard, and tell them, say, do you feel movement? So I'm going to exaggerate so you can see my thumb. Exaggeration, big time. Exhale, right? Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So it's very tiny, but it's like a pump. So on your exhale, they'll feel like actually their finger being pushed out. So again, they're not going to force press. They're just testing. And this is going to help you as a gauge so that you know it's happening. And what you're doing is you're changing the neuroplasticity, the neurology between the connection of your intent and air and breath. You're actually becoming a practitioner of a breatharian, a person who is not just breathing, but they are breath. And now you start changing the neural pathways by remapping that you don't just breathe through your nose. And this is very vital in the world of not just Qigong, but in Kung Fu. It's also vital because most sicknesses and illnesses, you can argue that most of them would not exist if you simply started to meditate in such a way where you became, or you developed the ability to whole body breathe, to understand that you are an entire cellular system, and every single cell, the trillions of cells that you have, they're a respiratory system, they're breathing. It's just happening, right? So once you get that happening, I'm going to show you the actual Qigong exercise. It's one Qigong simple exercise, but one of the most advanced ones in Xing Yi Chuan. It comes from one of the many exercises from the double butterfly form in the Qigong lineage in New York City, Chinatown. And these exercises were taught after several years, I guess traditionally I would say, because to develop to that level of refinement and then to be able to take your chi and refine it once you were connected with your dragon body, meaning you developed a dragon body, you developed bare shoulders, they call it, or bare back per se, tiger claws or tiger palms, or eagle claws, I guess they would say. Chicken legs, like almost like that of like a rooster and a chicken when they're running, or think of Rocky the movie when he's chasing the chicken. You develop that kind of like footwork with your chicken, so you have all of these animalistic attributes within the 12 animal system, within the this system of Xing Yi Chuan. And with all of these forms, this is considered like the most advanced to arrive there. But I do believe, because the times have changed, I think that people, maybe you won't get into like fighting Kung Fu shape, because that's like anything else you have to train for. However, this is just as necessary, because a lot of people don't know in real Kung Fu schools, like such as in Bagua, it's actually considered advanced meditation once you understand the Qigong behind it. Imagine doing an exercise where you're just walking and performing a routine, or what I'm about to show you, and you start to walk around a circle doing holding a posture, like in the first palm change in Bagua, right? And you're holding a posture and you're walking around in a circle. The key is, from the I Ching, which is the book of changes, is how do you find stillness in the midst of movement or chaos? So while you're doing all this Kung Fu and you're making sure all the techniques are correct and you're holding correct posture for meridian alignment, right? And posture alignment, right? yet you still meditate within those exercises as if you're still. Stillness within movement, moving while still. And that kind of like opens up the entire book of changes. Because change is probably more appropriated to define breath. Breath is change. Change you are. So once you understand the true value of breath and the energy mechanics behind it, it's actually contrasting and expanding. So when you understand contract, and expand, then what you're doing is reconnecting with faith and belief. What breath means to you. Because this is how you start to extract the chi from both the ethers and the earth and become the pumping system to become the trinity between your actual connection. And there's only one way to prove it to you. Well, two ways. One is if you were in class with me and you would feel it and it'd be in a classroom setting, but it means nothing. You have to be able to do it yourself. You discover it for yourself. Your body will teach you. Your body's been doing it in the most unconscious realm. And then now we're kind of like bringing it up to your conscious, but your subconscious still has to strengthen her bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, right? So let's go a double butterfly high frequency Qigong set. Come on. Like Mr. Rogers. Let's go. Now if you want, pardon me, I'm a little sweaty. If you want to get into the Qigong specifics and you want to go into detail, just send me a message and I would be more than glad to show you specifics, because you could spend like a long time taking any simple exercise and going into complete detail with it. And for all of you who go into yoga, it's the same thing. It's the Chinese yoga, right? It's kind of so remember the exercise that we did, right? So you kind of like go into like a bow and arrow stance, right? You know, bow and arrow. So your feet together, 45 degrees, right? Front foot forward, right? Bend your knees at the same time, straighten it and bend it, so you could be like 50-50, right? This is not about perfection. This is about just getting your body to come to life. So think of yourself as you're about to learn how to dance with a Qigong exercise, playful, fun, and with practice, even if you're doing it wrong, your body intelligently will show you and get you to doing it right. Even if I don't show or teach you more advanced movements. How? You really have to trust yourself. You have to believe, and with dedication and practice, then you start cultivating. That is your inner journey. You've been doing it with a lot of other things. Now we're going to do it with your vitality. So 50-50, right? So remember the palm. I'm going to go this way. Same thing. Because we're going to do both sides. So right now the camera will show my right side. So remember the technique that I showed you, right? And so what we're going to do is like think of push-ups, right? You're pressing, right? Or think of a coffee press when you're pressing into the ground, right? What you're focusing on is connecting breath with contracting and expanding the same. And with this little gadget I taught you, right? We're putting it into a real life scenario, and this is one exercise within the whole double butterfly set. You're on the ground like this, right? Your other hand just hangs out, but I would keep it on the ground like that, or you can actually put it like this facing your hand. Play around with it, right? But for now, right, you relax your body, 50-50, right? 50-50, here. And I'm gonna go closer so you can see me now. All right, so what you're gonna do is, now when you breathe in, you're breathing in the chi of the ground. Into the palm, and the same technique here, you're feeling, the nose is here, and it's going here, right? So, right? Breathing in here, and then exhaling back into the ground like a coffee press. And you're feeling now, your hands now, in this case, because it's now a little bit more relaxing, you're making a circle here. And you're creating kind of like a circle here. Breathe in, breathe out. Think of like push-ups. You just repeat that same mechanics. You want to keep it simple. I like to put my hands on my rib cage so that I can feel everything raising. Maybe up to here, here, here. Play with it. And exhale. Inhale. And the density changes in your whole body. It's not just here, but you have to have a fulcrum to start. your breath will show you, and your body will show you. And that's when your body and your breath starts to make conscious to you. And that's your inner journey, and that's your inner school. This is how you start opening it. So even if you're doing it wrong for 1 or 2 years, but the process of doing it with dedication and desire and cultivation, because you're feeling things are happening, will actually open up the doors for many other things that are not even related. Like your natural gifts and powers, like telekinesis and all that. Or it will expand what you've been training in, because now you will direct what you've been creating. This is quantum entanglement theory, right? Whatever you create, wherever you put attention to, it becomes. And the reason why it won't become right away is because of your belief system. You have to reprogram. So first you have to recondition your belief system by unprogramming it, by clearing it, right? And creating an entire new algorithm, which may take time, depending how conditioned you are, depending on genetic predispositions, depending on a lot of things. But it all falls into the mental state, because nothing in your mind that's hardwired, nothing. It's actually an actual wire. As far as beliefs, there's nothing that hardwires your belief system. So you can actually change that hardwiring. Or you must, in order for you to evolve, especially during this time of age. So once you get that happening, you breathe in, breathe out. Breathe out, right? Breathe in. Breathe out. And I start moving this way, or I move kind of like this way. Breathe in. So it's almost like if I was going to fall, that's my other limb. So I'm pushing it to the ground and it's supporting me. And then I end up almost like a bow and arrow stance, but not quite locked, just a little bit. So yeah, you see my body taking a tilt this way naturally without bending my back. Right? It's not muscular. It's not that. Right? It's just, but the tendons and the bone comes to life after a while. Right? And you do the same thing on the other side. You can do sets of 10, 12, 9, right? Odd numbers are yang, like daytime. Yin numbers, or even numbers are yin, like nighttime. So you change the numbers around if you're into that. Right, the other side. And if you want to advance it more, you can actually go now, right? Once you bring it up. Right. You can go like this. That's the exhale, right? Exhale. Inhale into your dantian. And all you're going to do is turn around. And imagine now the energy that you inhale here goes into the other palm. This is how you can switch. You can do several this way. Like learning a guitar, you're learning the techniques. Exhale, inhale. The inhale, everything become breath. It guides you. Who cares if you do it wrong? And whenever you finish any Qigong exercise, it's important that you close your energy gates, again, with visualization, just by breathing in. Same thing, breathing out. Both hands into the ground. And then right is right. Women are always right. Right hand first. Put it onto the lower dantian. Right? Your belly would be around the tiger's mouth. And left hand over the right hand. So the palms are over each other. So it's going to look overlaying like this. And what you're going to do is put your attention here and imagine you're inhale, exhaling maybe 10 times. And what you're doing is that all of the chi that you've been cultivating, or any excess chi, you're bringing it back into the source, which is the lower dantian. So let's become breath together. Come on, guys. If you want me to keep going with stuff like this, please let me know. That way I know I'm doing something and somebody's benefiting from this, okay?